What's going on, guys? Jay Daniel here. So, for this video, I'm going to be taking you through what is remote paradise and why do you care? So, first things first, remote paradise is going to be an in-person off-grid town square for remote workers. Okay, this is going to revolutionize the remote working space. Why? Because a lot of people who are number one getting into the remote space, people who are learning skills like drop shipping, sales, marketing, creating websites, trade day trading. Anybody who's learning these skills, one of the first things they say when they're getting started is, "I feel alone. Nobody around me thinks how I think." Another issue, a lot of people who are digital nomads, once they get to a place where they can make 60 to 120,000 a year, is that now that they're working remotely, now that they're able to travel, they're doing it alone. They're doing it with like one other person. They don't have a strong community of people around them that they can travel with, right? And they don't have really that camaraderie of people with them. So remote paradise is a way for, and even like a lot of people are, it's a way for people to come together, talk about their experiences, right? At night you can meet around the bonfire, right? You can play basketball, you can run tournaments, right? You can really connect in terms of what the remote experience is like. Um, it's a place where you can raise a family. So the first phase is, we're going to be having tents, getting some cash flow coming in, but ultimately, we want to make this a community people can live in. I was personally on a property in British Columbia in Canada where they had 160 acres. They had kids living on the property. Guess what? Those kids were more flexible than me. They were more athletic, right? And they knew a lot of stuff. They weren't brainwashed. And so creating the best cultures and communities are created when people come together. They're created with a base around family, with a base around um, the tribe. So this is going to be a very big focus and emphasis for the community. And yeah, I mean, those guys that are coming up that are brand new, now you can rent a spot in a cabin, right? We're gonna have some luxury bunk beds, right? You can rent a spot, and you can pay $500-600 a month instead of $3,000 a month in your city, barely able to pay things, right, between a couple people. Um, we're going to ultimately we're going to have our own currency. This is going to be one of the biggest things on the planet, where once we crush it in the first location, we can start to branch out and have different remote paradises for different climates. So this is the initial remote paradise for a warmer, more swampy climate, right? I'm looking at Florida for the initial land, but we can move into more cold climates, right? We can move into a more rocky, mountainous climate. We can even build something in the jungle. The sky is the limit. There is an unlimited amount of people who work remotely that would love to do something like this. And this is my vision. So, first things first, who is this for? Again, it's going to be for the remote workers, people who want to become a remote worker, somebody who's just unhappy with, let's say, a corporate job they have, or even just a local job at a restaurant, right? They're stuck in a cubicle, they have these long commutes, and ultimately they're just not able to live, really a connected life around people they really like. And so another one is going to be the current remote worker, somebody who's already working in a remote role, who's traveling the world, but they're, they're not really able to live connected, right? They feel isolated, they feel unfulfilled, they're craving something deeper, something more stable. They want a nurturing environment. They probably don't agree with the educational system. They want their kids to, when they have them, eventually be, surrounded by other people who are free thinkers and who aren't going to pollute their minds. Some of the values we're looking for, people who are freedom oriented, right? People who are open to discussion and discourse, people who don't just listen to the first thing they hear, they'll research, right? And kind of come to their own conclusion after, citing a couple different sources, and, they're critical thinkers. People who are spiritual. So I believe that society in the world is very heavily based and created around religion. So, people who have some kind of belief in God. I don't care if you're spiritual. I don't care if you're a Hindu. I don't care if you're a Christian. I don't care if you're a Muslim. It doesn't matter. It's people who believe in God who are willing to have discussions around this. I believe the highest level of of living is living a spiritual life, right? A connected life, a giving life. So, people who are collaborative, people who want to network, nurture their relationships, people who have a vision that they're looking to bring other people into maybe a vision that fits within the scope of what we're doing here at Remote Paradise. We're looking for people to help contribute to it and add to what we're building, and even elevate it to further levels. And ultimately, people that have a growth mindset, right? Like, you have to always look to learn in every scenario. People who are willing to put their ego to the side. I don't care if you're making $100 million a month, right? Like, people who can put their ego down and sit down and learn with people. And there's been cases where I'm meeting with somebody who I make substantially more income than, but they're much further ahead when it comes to spirituality. They're much further ahead when it comes to fitness. They're much further ahead when it comes to dating. It's everybody has something to add. They have some kind of value to add, and people who come into it with a student mindset, regardless of their level, those are the kind of people we want to be surrounded with in this community. Amenities, right? So this is going to be a place where you can do stuff. We're going to have a shooting range. We're going to have a gym. We're going to have a volleyball court, basketball court. There's going to be tournaments, guys. We're going to be hosting tournaments. I love Ball is Life and basketball and some of these big channels. So, we're going to be bringing, some of these guys on and hosting tournaments, and we're going to be having a good time. So, there's going to be internet access. We're going to have cold plunges, sauna, all the biohacking stuff that you can think of. It's going to be there, guys. Outdoor movie theater. It's going to be phenomenal. Okay. We're going to have retreats happening pretty consistently. We're going to focus on kind of the standard bro digital nomad retreat, right? We can, do some retreats for different topics. The whole idea of this is growing holistically in every area. So there's going to be a lot of different topics that we can explore. Phase 1 is going to be to ultimately get some short-term rentals on the property. So this is going to include having bell tents, wall tents, right? Even small camping tents. The whole idea is they're very good vehicles for producing income quickly and bringing a return on the investment. Typical bell tent is going to be around $800 to about $3,000, depending on the size. And if you have the right amenities, wow factors, everything that we covered in this previous slide, you're able to charge $150, $200 a night. This is something I know because I've done Airbnb myself, and I have a mentor who's done this exact model that's making hundreds of thousands a month just off of the tents. So I was just on the land with him in British Columbia, Canada. And this is the exact model and exact structure we're going to be following. So we're going to be reinvesting the profits from the tents back into purchasing cabins and tiny homes. The beauty of having cabins and tiny homes is that you're able to start building equity. You're able to start improving the experience for people, right? And you're able to ultimately just make the land look nicer. So this is going to be something we're going to start to build. People are going to be able to do not just short-term day-by-day rentals. They're actually going to start to be able to do lease terms. We're going to start to add the bunk beds to the property, right? And we're going to start to have things like the sales house, have things like the day trader house, have things like the website builder house, where you can be surrounded by like-minded people who also share similar values to you, right? And again, this is combating the current housing crisis and people really struggling with finances. Ultimately, it's going to be a huge value add for a lot of people. And I already have a huge network that I can tap into in terms of remote workers. I run a community called the 50K Closers Club, digital nomads that are already making six figures. And so this is going to be a huge hit in the community, in the industry. I've already had a lot of people who are very interested. And yeah, I mean, we have about a $200,000 budget to build out all the initial tents, get the water supply set up, make sure the roads are good, and right around $50,000 to actually purchase the property. If we already purchased the property, right, that chance is gone. Or when we purchase the property, that chance is gone. Next is going to be the budget, right? Once that budget's been allocated and raised, that opportunity is also gone. We're projecting this project to be worth more than $10 million for investors within a 5-year time frame. If you'd like more information, you're going to be able to access the financial projection sheet, which is going to be down below on the website. It's going to be the second button. So this is going to be our plan to ultimately raise everything in terms of protecting investors who are coming in. The beauty of buying raw land is that it's very easy to increase the equity that you have on the land. So let's say that we purchase a piece of land for $200,000. There's no running water supply. If we get a well installed, it's not uncommon for the value of that land to increase by over $100,000. Typically, installing a well doesn't cost more than $20,000 to $25,000. So that's an immediate profit. Worst case scenario, something goes wrong, we can always just sell the land, get the cash flow coming back to the investor, and protect you in the short term while we build this paradise in the long term. Okay. Another thing that we're going to be doing in the long term to actually send this well beyond a $10 million evaluation, if we can do it in the 5 years, beautiful. If not, no worries, we're still going to do it, is going to be actually subdividing the land. So a couple pieces of land I'm looking at, we're at over 100 acres in land, and so we can actually subdivide the land into 1 acre lots. We can even get a little farm built on the land directly. We can give people access to courses to incentivize the deal in terms of how to live off grid, right? Different ways to travel, be a digital nomad, access to some events, right? But basically, if we purchase the land for $200,000, $300,000, we can actually subdivide and sell individual plots of land for 100,000 each. We can even build a tiny home or build some extra land on those properties, sell it for 150,000 or 200,000. This is only if people want. Ultimately, just rental income coming in from the younger demographic or people that just want to get away from the high cost in the cities is going to be a huge income vehicle, because that's going to pay down and give us full ownership of the properties in a very short period of time. For example, if we're charging $250 a night, we purchase a $50,000 cabin or a $100,000 cabin, okay, over the course of 1 month, assuming we have a 75% booking rate at $250, 30 days a week. That would be about, let's say 24 days, okay? That would put us at well over, I'm doing a little mental math here, but that'll put us well over $5,000 a month in cash flow, probably closer to 7,000. And in less than a year, we've already paid off the initial building. We have full access to the equity in it, and it's something that the students can really enjoy personally. So we're going to be reinvesting all of the profits back into the land to make sure that at the very least, the equity that we have from the cabins is going to match up to the investment from the investor to protect them. And we're ultimately going to be growing this as quickly as possible. So this is going to be phase one. This is going to be the big priority and the big focus initially. And this is going to be about 12 months of build up, getting all the tents and everything set up. And the initial infrastructure takes about 3 months. And from there, for the next 9 months, we can just add additional tents and start to add cabins onto the land. Build out of a cabin can also be around 3 to 6 months, depending on the construction team. I have a couple that we're in talks with, but that's going to be dependent on where we choose to get the property in. So from there, we're going to have a e-learning community, so people can who are on the land, right? This is something we can give them for free. They can learn how to do what we're doing. We're going to have a town square where we can ultimately start to add more things as time goes on, right? And this is where we can ultimately franchise. And eventually, 5 years down the road, we can reevaluate and see if we want to sell or see if we want to continue building. In 5 years, we should start to have multiple franchises all over the world. So in terms of the leadership team, right now it is me, myself, and I. I have these guys who are all advising me. I was just on their land in Canada. They were showing me how they structure things. They showed me exactly how they're doing the Airbnb. So they're going to be actually going through and helping me every step of the way as we build this out and get this up and running. In terms of marketing, we have a lot going on here. We are going to use Airbnb to be able to get the initial people coming in for the short-term rentals. Okay, 99% of Jamie and Shelby's people staying on their land literally come from Airbnb. So we're going to use their exact templates, structures. Obviously, we're going to be adjusting it to very specific individuals. But the beauty of Airbnb is we can bring pretty much anybody in there who's on the platform. So Airbnb is going to get immediate cash flow coming in through the short-term rentals. And from there, we're going to be using Kickstarter. This is going to be also another way to just raise capital in the meantime while we get the numbers flowed out with the investors. But we can also use Kickstarter as a way to basically market our message, basically start having people apply to come in and live on the land and apply to basically work with us and to really scale the online community as well, because the online community, $20 a month, right? We can get a couple thousand members and have some good cash flow coming in before we even have the land. With the way that we're structuring things currently, I'm also doing a personal series on YouTube. Previously, I did this series. I made more than $5,000 in just AdSense payouts from YouTube. I got 250,000 views on YouTube, which is the highest quality lead platform, just because it's long form content. That was documenting my journey from zero to hero, making $10,000 a month as a remote worker. I succeeded. I was able to basically grow the community, and I was able to basically grow the following, right, and build a following who invested a ton of money, by the way, in programs that I used to sell. So now we're going to do this for myself. We're doing a new series documenting my journey from remote closer, making 6 figures, to a millionaire, to a real estate millionaire, to a leader of a community, And so we're on, as of September the 30th, 2024, we're on episode 22 of just me documenting that journey. It's a daily vlog, and I am bringing on some help to actually start posting that across social media platforms, scale that following, right? Ultimately, people who come into the free community are going to be the people that are going to be ultimately renting out the land. So this is going to be very vital for the continuation past the initial part where we're running the Airbnbs, but the Airbnbs are going to be a very nice chunk of our cash flow and everything that we're doing. So just a couple examples. This is just talking a little bit more about what we're obsessed on. So this is a place people come to level up. It's all about personal development, becoming your best person possible. This is all about people not wanting to leave. So people can come in. We're going to do events, and people are going to see the land, and that's where people can also apply to live or work with us on the land. So if you want to chat with me, I actually need to upgrade the email. But if you want to chat with me, just shoot me a email. You can also text. You can also call me. Just please text first. Okay, or email me at jdaniel@remoteparadise.com. I'm typically on Facebook, so you can contact me on there as well. I do have a maxed out friends list though, so just shoot me a message and I'll make sure to get back to you. Text would probably be easier. So in terms of a projected cash flow, right? So we're actively building out the membership site. We have about 40 members right now. This is going to take a little bit of time to build up. This is where we're actually going to start and dive into the project. So assuming we have 5 glamping tents that are doing $200 a night at 23 nights booked, 75% booking, that's $23,000 a month in gross cash flow. Okay, that's $276,000 per year. We're looking in Texas and Florida for some of the land, so it's going to be in a warmer climate, so we can actually host 12 months a year as opposed to 9 because of winter for some other places. We're going to reinvest the profits back into the tiny homes, charge conservatively $250 a night at 23 nights booked, which will be $28,750 a month or $345,000 per year. Now, these are actual structures, so they provide equity. If they generate $5,750 each, and we reinvest everything back into them, if they cost $60,000 each in 1 year, they'll be completely paid off. We'll be able to keep the value, which will, worst case, protect investors. Okay, events. Just people touring the land. People can stay on. We can teach them everything we know, everything we're doing. We can bring on people who can teach in different topics, right? So all the different mentors who are teaching like health and fitness and financial literature and living off the land, they can actually come in person, talk people through everything. Okay, so $1,000 a ticket, 20 tickets, 4 events a year. That's an extra $80,000 a year just from events. Okay, so total cash flow would be over $700,000 per year, right? Based on the initial structure for how we're going to be doing things. Really, this is phase 1. I would consider this. We could say this is phase 2, but really this is phase 1 because this is going to be where the magic happens once the investment capital is coming in. So, and ultimately, right, like this is where we would move into having like the e-learning really taking off and building up the town square. And, ultimately once we're subdividing land, we have a restaurant, we have a farm, like this is where things are really going to take off. And this is where this is $5 million a year in cash, right? So this is where the project ultimately going to have the highest possible valuation, right? And this is where you can really start to pull your profit in. Remember, as an investor, you probably only put in like 100 grand or 200 grand. So this is massive in terms of what your return would be over the course of what I project to be about 5 years, realistically, having spoken with multiple people who are actively mentoring me and supporting me in this whole process, right? So we're looking for 250 grand. If you're interested, once again, just hit me up, shoot me a text before you call, or you can shoot me an email. Happy to go into more detail with you. Just have a discussion. Ideally, as people, I know a lot of people like to, let's go business, let's go numbers, guys. This is potentially a 5 to 10 year relationship. Like, I am not interested in just here's the numbers and then having you down my ass. No, like this is something where we're going to work together. We're going to collaborate. Like, I'd like to hear a little bit more about you. Like, I have a couple guys that are, looking to potentially work together, and like, I've met their kids, like it's obviously accountability is huge, and I'm going to be super accountable, and we're going to have conversations. You can hold me to the standard that we set for all the initial projects, and we're not going to invest any money if we don't have a clear plan behind what we're doing it. But ultimately, this is my vision for my life. It's dope. I like to travel. I like freedom. These are my values as well as anybody's. So if you have these values, if you like the vibe I'm giving off, if this is a project that you'd like to get into, but you want more info, or you want to just chat with me, please do. I love to connect. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are watching this and you're not looking to be an investor, you just want to join the free community, there's also a link down below you can click on. Guys, if you just want to talk, hit me up. I'm an open book, and I love connecting with people. So